Hello and welcome back. So we are beginning the restoration work on this LJ Peretti pipe, and I'm going to begin by separating the stummel from the stem and just setting the stem aside for now. And we're going to the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to ream out that tobacco chamber, because as I showed you in the previous video, that is quite a lot of cake buildup in there, and I want to see what we've got down underneath the cake, just to make sure there's no flaws, no potential for burnout down there. So you've seen me ream before. I'm not going to take you through the whole process. Just know that I'm going to start off with the smallest reamer. We'll see where that gets us, and then we'll decide whether we want to go to a larger one or just stick with that. And I'll do that and be back with the next step shortly. Okay, so I reamed the bowl. I actually went up to the second size reamer, and you can see there was actually a rather significant amount of cake in that bowl, as expected. And with that out of the way, you can now see that the tobacco chamber is actually quite a nice size, and we're able to get it, if I can find it, able to get that really reamed down close to the wood, not completely. You can see there's still some cleanup that I'm going to need to do in there. The draft hole is a little bit poorly positioned, but not too bad, and I don't see any real evidence of there being any major burnout issues or anything in there. So I think we're in pretty good shape right now with this pipe. Sorry, it's getting really hard to get the light in there. There we go. So you can see there's something actually occluding the draft hole right now. There's a bit of cake that either broke off and fell in there or has been clogging in there. So the next thing to do is going to be to actually ream out this the draft hole. And I'm going to start, first we'll start off with the easy stuff, and then we'll invoke the nuclear option if we need to. So we're just going to go with a bristly pipe cleaner. I'm not going to put any alcohol on this one at first. I just want to see. Yeah, so that actually goes through pretty easily. So there's not any major issues there. Let's try the thick end. A bit of scrubbing. Yeah, not too bad. Not bad at all, really. So I'm going to go ahead with my drill bit reamers and just try to get any cake that might be on the walls of the airway out of the way. So we'll start off with this guy, and that actually goes in quite easily. This is the smallest one that I have, which is the 9/64, and that's a pretty typical size, and that feels pretty loose in there. So let me go up to the next size, which I have is a 5/32, and we'll see how that fits. Yep, that's also going in with no problem. It's a little bit of resistance as we get deeper in there, suggesting that there might be some buildup. And we're through now. And if you look at how that's going in, actually, you can see the slight angle that's going in at. Here, let me see if I can show you as I rotate this. If you look, this should stay centered on the shank, and it's clearly not. It's off center by quite a bit. So this is not a ideally drilled airway, which helps explain the issue that we saw earlier with the stem. And now I've got that down and into the airway, so I can see the end of the pipe cleaner coming out, which is what I was hoping for. So now pretty well reamed through that. And there's not a lot coming out, so it's not that it was terribly occluded. I can feel a little bit of resistance still, but I think we're in pretty good shape. Go back in with the pipe cleaner again. Oh yeah, so that's popping right through there with no problem now. And let me just take one more look here. Yeah, that air hole is definitely at the back of the chamber. Let's see if I can get this focused in for you here. So you can see sorry. This is challenging. There we go. So that is clearly on the rear wall. I'm not sure if that's because it was drilled that way or if it's because there's been some burnout at the bottom. So it's something to keep an eye on as we proceed here. But yeah, overall, I think we're ready for the next step. And the next step is one that you're probably going to find a little bit unusual, but this has got so much buildup on it, and I'm a little concerned that it might have a bit of a ghost because it's got a slightly aromatic smell to the chamber. Plus, it's very dirty. A lot of buildup on the rim, which I'm probably going to sand off anyway. I'd like to get this very clean. I'd like to refinish it, and I want to soften the fills to. That may be the only fill. I'm just assuming there's more, but no, I think that is the only fill. But I want to soften that so I can tease it out and replace it. So what I am going to do is actually soak the whole stummel in some alcohol. And to do that, I've got, this is not alcohol, this is water. I'm going to add alcohol to this. This is Everclear, which is a 95% ethanol. And I'm going to mix that about 2 parts Everclear to 1 part water. So it's a 30% dilution, more or less. The reason I'm doing that is, in my opinion, and I could be wrong about this, but in my opinion, the straight or the 95% ethanol can be a little bit problematic when you're soaking the briar in it because it will tend to draw moisture out of the wood, and partly that's what you want because it's also going to draw oils out and help get rid of any ghosting, but it also is going to dry out the wood to the point where it could shrink. And it will not only shrink and potentially crack, but the stem may not fit well anymore either. So by adding the 30% water, I'm still maintaining all of those properties of the ethanol that we want, but at the same time I am minimizing that shrinkage a bit by making sure that there's some water in the mix. So I'm going to, that is now 30% water, 60%, or 33% water, 66% ethanol. Slightly less than that because I started off with 95%, but you can do the math on your own time. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and drop her straight on in there. Probably not something you've expected to see me do, but there she is. And I will actually weight that down so that it doesn't rise up. And I thought I had a weight handy, but I'll have to do that off screen. And then we're going to let that soak for probably a few hours, if not overnight. We'll just see how far we get tonight. And then when we come back to this, we will be able to wipe it clean, get any more tar that might be in the airway out, and we'll be well on our way to having the stummel ready for refinishing. So that is about all I'm going to do for this video. The next step, while we're waiting for this to soak and absorb and clean up, is we'll begin work on the stem, and we'll see how that goes. So thank you for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you for the next installment when we get to work on the stem. I appreciate you watching these videos. If you would like to like the video, I'd greatly appreciate that. Any comments you might have, please add them. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're interested, please consider subscribing so you can stay up to date on this project as it goes forward. So thank you, and take care.